My name is William. I am a well-known and accomplished entrepreneur who oversees multiple businesses. To be honest, though, I have little interest in that area of my life. I live in a nice home and have a stable income, but that doesn't really matter to me. All that counts to me is my ability to perform my job. I believe I will likely remain alone for the rest of my life since I adore what I do. Although many around me believe that, as a CEO, I should be able to relax, I would much rather continue to be actively involved in the day-to-day operations of the company. I'd occasionally go visit the site dressed for work. You don't need to do all that, they say, but interest and a want to participate are what matter to me. Hello, William. Hey, Tyler. What's up? This is Tyler, a childhood friend of mine. He's the only close buddy I have left since I relocated to the city and lost contact with my peers from my hometown. I told everyone I was going to be a businessman when I left my hometown, but they all thought it was such a romantic idea. I departed with the purpose of leaving everything behind at that point, because there was no point in staying in touch with individuals who didn't believe in me. At the time, Tyler was the only person who gave me support and encouragement. I relocated to the city at the same time as a few others from my hometown, but Tyler is the only one I stay in contact with. Oh gosh, something about this seems off to me. I understand that you would rather not socialize with individuals from your hometown, but I have been requested to organize an event for singles. We are lacking one employee, and it is intended exclusively for those employed by large corporations. What? Who is that haughty individual? First of all, I don't work for anyone. I know you detest it, but it's Jake, haha. I apologize for not being able to decline, but the only other people from our hometown who moved away are married, so there isn't anyone else to ask. Jake, you can leave early if you just attend the first portion. You are not required to pay anything. Please don't worry about the charge. Give me your word that you won't discuss my work with anyone after the first section, and I'll depart. Excellent, many thanks for it. Naturally, I'll forget about it and express my gratitude later. The last person I saw from my hometown was actually Jake. At the time, he was the one that made fun of me the most. Even though I am happy doing what I love and am a successful entrepreneur now, remembering back on that period still pisses me off. Are you serious? I am. Of course. Nothing is insurmountable for a human, is there? That is absurd. Do you know how many people live in New York? Perhaps in our hometown. That's why I'm doing it. Listen, let me explain. You don't understand. People who are successful beyond our wildest dreams are made in New York. The best thing that us rural people can hope for is a steady career in a large corporation. Working for these remarkable people and partaking in the sweet benefits of their achievement is the New York dream. I don't think so. Oh, how unyielding you are. Okay, all right, I'll just laugh when I see you in 10 years, sobbing and failing. Then don't come wailing to me for assistance. Don't worry, that won't happen. That was Jade for you, someone who clung so tightly to a rural way of thinking and who, for whatever reason, fiercely resisted my goals. Upon reflection, why did he make such a strong effort to stop me? He had no bearing on my future. I simply can't comprehend those kinds of individuals. After a few days. Hello, William. Hey, Tyler. What's up? Is the mixer canceled? No, regrettably, it is still ongoing. To set the date, I just gave a call. Sorry, but it's not possible. What time is it? It's 2 weeks from now, on Friday. What do you think? Okay, I'll adjust my schedule so I can go straight there from my work outside. Man, thank you so much. We ought to grab dinner together sometime. I'm definitely up for that. I used to be concerned about Tyler's ability to thrive in the city because he is so gentle and modest, but I'm happy to see that he is enjoying his work and has been slowly moving up the corporate ladder at a large corporation. Jake seems to be seeking girls by flashing his money, and this mixer seems to be more of the same. I've heard that he got a position at a respectable company. Tyler refused to invite me since he was aware of my relationship with Jake, but Jake insisted on having a successful person so he wouldn't look foolish. Tyler was put in a difficult situation and reached out to me because he needed someone with a high standing who was not more noticeable than himself. Though I theoretically have more standing than Jake as a business owner, I've kept my true job a secret from him. Tyler probably figured that since I'm not into romance, I'd be a simple pick for this, as if I'm the kind of person who gets excited about love, it will impede Jake's progress. I don't disclose my line of work to anyone outside of Tyler because of an earlier incident. Actually, after learning about my profession, someone from my hometown began taking advantage of me. If they had requested for a job in my company, I could understand, but instead, they were requesting loans or authorization to use my name. It felt disturbing since they obviously approached me with the goal of taking advantage of me. Jake might approach me just to get females or elevate his own standing, given his character. Nevertheless, I have no desire to assist people who previously claimed that I could never succeed. As part of my job, I also work in the construction industry, and occasionally I visit the site dressed in uniform to provide direct directions. I appreciate having direct conversations with Kevin, the site manager, in order to establish a strong rapport based on trust. This strategy makes sure that because of our shared trust, we can help one another when we need it. Even when my subordinates tell me I don't need to go that far, I persuade them that I'm doing it because I want to value personal connections. I'm really pleased of my subordinates because they carry on my heritage by appreciating the trust they gain from clients and coworkers. But maybe that's why they advise me to take it a little slower. I don't want to bother my subordinates, so because we're all working for the same goal, I feel compelled to start giving them greater responsibility this year. It's not that I can't unwind without working or that I don't trust them. I can't help but be involved in my work since I actually love it. Therefore, I can't just sit back and do nothing. I have been preparing to launch a new business recently. I'll be personally busier once it gets rolling, which should help balance my job in the current company. Right now, it's only in the planning stages. I can delegate some of my workload to my subordinates once this new endeavor gets going, which will reduce my involvement. I went to my place of employment today to have a conversation with Kevin regarding a number of topics. I get a lot of input from talking to other individuals outside, which is effective. There cannot be an output without an input. Although I genuinely enjoy managing a business, I still adore my work. It's not about making money, but rather about managing a business. How to make it work more smoothly, how to boost earnings, and how to deal with issues as they emerge. How should I go about this? I am a businessman because I enjoy putting these things together and carrying them out like a game. Naturally, I need the support of dependable staff members in order to accomplish this. Yes, I am the president who meddles in personnel problems and interferes. I would like to see and speak with my subordinates. I am involved in personnel concerns, and the other employees recognize that staffing decisions have the power to make or break a company. I then go back to the office and carry on working while wearing my work attire, despite my secretary's constant requests that I change at the very least. I always ignore it because I find it too annoying. Kevin laughed at me today when I brought this up. Typically, affluent individuals and business leaders would rather not wear work clothes because they care about how they look, but I see efficiency as the most important factor, so I'm not sure why they would feel otherwise. You'll get complaints about the boardroom and business clothing, I guess. Why? During the time I'd be changing, I'd rather work. That's understandable. But what if you get an unexpected guest? If the president is dressed in business attire, doesn't that seem horrible? That's what everyone says, but I don't understand. I'm the president, regardless of whether I'm dressed for work or not. Indeed, you are correct when you phrase it that way. Why everyone is so focused on appearances is beyond me. It's a matter of manners. You must uphold TPO in order to avoid offending the other person. Yes, Now that you put it that way, Tyler's point also seems to make logic. Tyler and I got together and had dinner together today prior to the scheduled mixer. We usually get together, and today was no exception, but instead of spending time together, we got into a heated debate about my work attire. I didn't think there was anything wrong with wearing work attire, because I dislike those who are preoccupied with appearances and status. Tyler made some valid arguments, though, so I opted to retain a few suits at the office in case I needed them later. In this manner, I can maintain TPO, even in the event of an unforeseen guest. Tyler never undermines my intransigence. Instead, he consistently points me in the proper direction. He's a really cozy friend to hang out with. We discussed Tyler's latest work situation and exchanged information today. It seems that he has been experiencing employment anxiety lately. Everything was going well until last month, but now he's beginning to worry that he might not have a future at his present employer. Tyler was given a new boss last week, but he doesn't really get along with him. I explained to Tyler that if he doesn't get along with his boss, there's no point in sticking with that company and waiting for the boss to relocate or for there to be another personnel change. This is from the standpoint of a business owner. It is not effective. In my opinion, we shape our surroundings. Tyler acknowledged this and expressed that he would give switching jobs some serious thought. I was at a work site earlier on the day of the event, so I walked directly to the meeting location dressed for work. Normally, I'm not lost, but for some reason that day I was, so I had to contact Tyler. He was standing in front of the restaurant, waiting for me. "Hey, come on over. It's right here. It's a little concealed, and I got lost in it. I truly appreciate you coming, haha. But I'm going to be departing soon. You're still dressed for work because of this. Just stay until the party warms up. It's okay." Jake was seated when we walked into the restaurant. I hadn't seen him in a very long time. My mood dipped because I still remembered things from the past and hadn't dealt with them completely. "Jake, do you still remember me? William is here. Even though he was busy today, he made the entire trip here. Tyler, please just give me a moment. You mentioned inviting someone, huh? Heist back, is that correct? A person dressed for work is a bit excessive. Oh, I see. There was miscommunication. No, I was correct the entire time. Jake, long time no see." Jake did not even say hello before making fun of me because he saw me wearing my work attire. Fearing for his life, Tyler tried to step in, but Jake was not listening, so I took over. "William, you must be regretting not listening to me." "Why would I do that?" "Avoid tagging someone who is harsh. I think I told you. It's not feasible for a rural kid like you to succeed as a businessman in New York, so it's only natural that you failed and became a laborer, isn't it? Pathetic. You would have at least had a steady life if you had followed my advice and obtained a job like Tyler and me. No, I'm living a stable life. It is impossible for a worker to work outside, particularly during this sweltering weather. There is an upper limit to physical labor. Perhaps you ought to think about changing careers. I appreciate the guidance. Being stern once more. Come on, showing up to a mixer in work attire. You'll never find any women. Being unpopular is all right with me. I just didn't want to make the effort to change. Part 2 of acting tough. I'm sorry for you. William, you need to get a steady position at a large company like mine, and all the females will come running. It's delightful. That doesn't pique my attention. I honestly lead a happy, steady life. What I'm discussing goes beyond what you consider stable. If you saw the change, you would be astounded. I'll forget that in the past you disregarded me. Do you want my guidance? I can even request that my supervisor hire you. Jake, hurry up. In reality, Tyler is William. Just keep silent for a while. I will impart a life lesson to William. Tyler, it's all right. I'm curious to hear what Jake has to say. Jake was completely out of control, which flustered Tyler. I was interested to see what kind of guidance Jake, who had experience with more success than me, would give at this stage. I was interested in hearing it. All right, letting down a little. Okay, let's start with step 1. Be proud to be a country boy. Be modest and virtuous. Why? Because there are a lot of proud folks in New York. People will naturally take care of you if you act like a dumb country lad and admit you're one. Simple, huh? These folks will usually cover your expenses, so take advantage of the freebies. Interesting. I wasn't interested in listening any more after his shrewd first bit of advice. I chose to give Jake a chance, though, in order to fully reveal his true self. The next step is to treat yourself with the money you saved from these folks. Pay Jay. When I went out to eat, I hardly paid for anything. Others did. I then make use of the cash I save on entertainment costs. Interesting. Are you keeping up with the discussion? You must find it refreshing to hear from a successful urbanite, don't you think? Hold on, Jake. Tyler. Don't worry. You could learn anything if you listen. William, pay attention to this one next. Pay attention. Using the additional cash to flirt with women is the final phase. Having fun with ladies? At last, Jake began uttering nonsensical things. Spending money you've saved on women. Of course, depending on how you play, it can be utterly trashy and abhorrent. Spend money, and don't be frugal with mixers like these. You lose as a man, don't you, if women label you cheap, even in the event of incurring debt. Taking on debt, eh? To be struggling to make ends meet, like you, the word debt must carry a lot of weight. I understand, but it's okay. I'm not advocating that you take out a loan from a loan shark. Make use of your credit card. It accomplishes 2 goals at once and gives the appearance of a smoother payment. I couldn't hold back my laughter. To begin with, the mentality is extremely traditional. The temptation to womanize with borrowed money is beyond me. The hubris to mislead and force others to spend their money. Money is cheap too. How in the world can he be boasting? You don't appear to be understanding it. Did you hear me? I heard you, but what? I'm not sure why, but it simply feels pointless to me. How come? Why do you act so haughtily? You're still forced to perform manual labor as a result, repeating your previous errors. Well, I haven't erred in any way, and womanizing isn't my thing. I get irritated just staring at you. You arrive in New York, lead a wretched existence, yet you still project an air of grandeur and refuse to even hear what others have to say. Why are you acting this way? I hope I didn't come across as conceited, but perhaps our beliefs are just different after all. I'm having a good time, and I'm sure Jake is too. You really irritate me. Obviously, I'm content. Here, I'm the most accomplished. Resultant? Heed. For what reason are you laughing? Put an end to it. Okay, 2 women showed up just as Jake was ready to snap and throw himself at me. Jake immediately took a different tone and returned to his seat. Hi, it's good to meet you. My name is Jake. Let's enjoy ourselves tonight. My name is Tyler. I appreciate you being here. Let's order some beverages first because Maria, our organizer, will be running a little late. I apologize to the girls for the confusion caused by the guy joining us dressed for work. Since that differs from what I was informed, I was taken aback. I'll pay the girls' expenses tonight as an apology. Hey, Tyler and Jake, don't worry. Give him space. Ignoring the distress the females were feeling, Jake kept making fun of me in front of them. I stopped Tyler when he attempted to step in. I don't mind if girls are attracted to men who speak negatively about other people so freely. They seem like a good match. Yes, please proceed. What a loser like you says is irrelevant. Is that accurate? Hey girls, do you hear me? This man used to be a classmate of mine back home. He had this absurd dream after we went to New York, and I attempted to explain him the reality, but he was completely unreceptive. And now look at him. You see, I've built a name for myself in New York, and here he is, still working hard labor and dressed in his work clothes. It merely confirms my earlier assertions. I had just been counseling him earlier. Jake continued rambling, making himself look foolish as the girls cast uncomfortable glances at him. Tyler had his hands clasped around his head. I merely waited for time to pass while staring blankly at Jake's face. I kindly spent my time and energy teaching Jake how to survive in New York because he was so engrossed in his work that he failed to recognize the atmosphere. You would normally be appreciative, right? It's a rare opportunity to give counsel on how to stop being miserable. But he claims he doesn't require my guidance. How do you feel? Really impolite, don't you think? Say thank you, at the very least. It's really rude of you to come here dressed for work. It's embarrassing. Simply ignore him. I sincerely apologize to the girls for inviting such a moron. What a perverse character he is. It's okay, Tyler. The females claimed they didn't mind, although they appeared to be uncomfortable. After the first round, I knew this gathering would come to an end. The food and beverages arrived during this time, which helped to diffuse the tense atmosphere a little. Tyler turned to face me while Jake and the females were chatting. William, I apologize sincerely for this. It's okay, but perhaps you should stop allowing him to take advantage of you. Yes, I've always been terrible at saying no and have merely followed orders, but today I've made a decision. I no longer want to hang out with him. You know you don't have to do that for me, only in cases where it truly bothers you. I find it bothersome. I wish not to possess. Moreover, my ideals differ from those of Jake. Then you ought to stay away from him without a doubt. We ate our supper in silence, making fun of Jake's persona all the time. It was excruciating to see Jake publicly brag about his success in his firm and in society. Although I was unaware of Jake's level of success, I know that people who exaggerate their accomplishments typically have little to show for it. Thus, I secretly hoped that his actual nature would soon come to light. Then the final female, who was late, showed up. Sorry for being late, Maria. I appreciate you being here. We've just started eating, so don't rush. This is Maria, our female organizer, William, and Jake. Nice to meet you, Maria. What the heck? Hello, Maria. My name is Jake. You are quite gorgeous. We met in a miracle. Please take a seat. Upon greeting, Maria was shocked by something, but Jake continued talking without noticing and motioned for her to have a seat. How could someone be that naive? Just how does he function? Because I touched a gorgeous female, please quit acting sly. Jake, that's not the point. Relax. Maria brushed Jake off cold for some reason and came over to me. Are you William? The man dressed professionally? You should be with someone as high class as me, given your beauty. Pardon me, but what on earth are you talking about? Did you really just refer to William as the guy in work clothes? That is very amazing. Maria, please don't be so irrational. Did you previously know William? Have we previously met? Sorry, I don't quite remember you. You're really impolite. For a loser, remembering someone as lovely as her is a miracle. Men in success tend to recall the people they've met. Could you please keep quiet? Who believe you to be? Please stop talking. Yikes. Then Maria lost her temper. With their mouths agape, the other females appeared to be rooting for her. Tyler watched Maria and me, looking perplexed. Normally, I can recall faces well, but where did we meet? Maria's face was quite gorgeous, so I should be able to remember it, but I couldn't remember at all. You're William, the CEO of Fun Group, right? Yes, but Fun Group is where I work. Although I haven't met you yet, I've always wanted to. I became a member due to my fascination with your corporate concept. Mr. Smith. I see. One of our workers. Meeting here is awkward. What? You're not serious. You do not hold a CEO position. That isn't feasible. Will you please stop it now? William holds a prominent position as an executive in New York, and you've been behaving quite superior. But give up lying. People you've met are not remembered by you. William, a chief executive officer. Not at all. I'm telling the truth. I'm a capable employee. Simply look it up if you don't trust me. You also lie a lot. Jake, we've already met through Cash Corporation. You talk about yourself all the time and never listen to others. I'd assume you don't remember me. That's embarrassing, is it not? The girls, unable to contain their amusement any longer, chuckled. Huh. Jake looked flushed and desperately searched on his phone. What? And you're a CEO, William? Fun Group, a well-known business, is expanding at the quickest rate in New York. Why did you remain silent? I assumed it would cause problems with someone such as yourself. I discovered its risk aversion. As a CEO, I would advise dropping everything you suggested I do earlier. Nobody will want to hang out with you in the end. I apologize for stating this in a private setting, but I truly enjoy my work. I'm fully engrossed in it. I appreciate you providing me the chance to work for such a fantastic organization. Actually, I want to thank you for starting this incredible business. Although hearing this in front of people is a little awkward, I'm happy to hear that you're loving your employment. Just take care not to become all work and no play like me. Normally, I'm active in the hiring process, but scheduling conflicts may have prevented me from seeing your branch. Maintain your excellent work in the organization. Yes, thank you so much. Hey, William, things will go quickly if you own a business. I want to discuss something. Girls, this party is done. It's time to go. Jake abruptly cut us off from our talk with a demand. Are you serious? How illiterate can this guy become? His conceited approach to the subject was beginning to irritate me a little. Jake, if you're going to dismiss the girls, you should at least follow through on your promise. Make a vow. As an act of contrition for my presence causing difficulties, you promise to pay for the females, right? The first two girls gave a nod of approval. Maria gave Jake a chilly look, making it obvious that she thought this man was terrible news. However, that was prior to my learning that you were a company owner. I assumed that since I held a more senior role, I would be responsible for paying. However, things are different now. William, hurry up. Absurd. What a frugal dude. I would not have come today if I had known you were coming. Don't become arrogant just because you happen to be somewhat attractive. It indicates that you are simply that unimportant if I can't recall you. Avoid becoming arrogant. Tyler lost all self-control and yelled out of frustration. Is Jake truly the kind of man who, in order to maintain his pride, would say such horrible things to women? I'm in such shock that I'm at a loss for words. Ladies, put the money aside. I apologize profusely for today. Maria, is it possible for me to apologize to you later? Tyler, you don't need to apologize because you've done nothing wrong. Please ensure that I never have to interact with this jerk again. Mr. Smith, I'm sorry to have shown you this ugly spectacle today. I'm excited to collaborate with you going forward. Obviously. I swear to make sure this doesn't happen to you again. Once more, I apologize. I'll communicate with you. Similarly, I'll never forget your face. Now indeed, people who can work really stand out. Pardon me, I'm being made fun of by everyone. It enrages me. After having scarcely eaten, the females eventually left. They must have been anticipating the day, but Jake's egotism made everything go wrong. Did he even know that at all? Jake caught on to Tyler, Maria, and my critical comments about him, and he grew enraged. He had no idea what he was doing and never listened to others, instead reacting quickly to his own problems. What a prickly man. William, I apologize deeply. I took my time as I understand how busy you are. Tyler, don't worry. Seeing Jake's antics was well worth the time. What? Nothing embarrassing that I can recall doing. You've been boasting and disparaging other people a lot. That is not the behavior of Victor. The best thing I've ever done is to follow my dreams instead of listening to you. I've fulfilled my dreams and goals, as you can see. Let the past be forgotten. Well, I'm in need of a favor. Jake is incredibly petty and is making a convenient effort to seem as though his embarrassing behavior never occurred. He even has the gall to beg for a favor. Despite my lack of desire to assist him, I chose to hear what he had to say. Tell me, what is it? If you like, I can cover the cost of the meal. I can support a fellow countryman in need. That is anticipated, correct? You have wealth. That is completely unanticipated. Jake, get a handle on things. I will cover the cost. Don't become too agitated. It's not often that I see you this way, Tyler. Tyler, don't worry. Let's listen to Jake's perspective. My request is, could you lend me some money? What? You just claim to be extremely wealthy. William lives a miserable life, but I'm successful. Well, I just wanted to have a little pride in myself. It's a little tight because I spent too much money on girls this month. Absurd. You're done entirely. Tyler, please keep quiet. I'm currently having a crucial chat. William, think of it as helping a friend. You mentioned that you were successful at work, Jake. You can handle this month's challenges, but what about next month? It's what's wrong, William. Hear me out. My company does not recognize talent. Someone as competent and kind-hearted as I am is not appreciated by them. Rather, they elevate completely worthless individuals before me. As a company owner, what are your thoughts on that? I don't think you need to say more. Tyler, I would never lend money to anyone except for business purposes. Now hurry up. May I apply for a job at your company? I want to leave the unappreciated work I'm in now, but finding a new one is a chore. You can get around all the challenging procedures if you're in charge, right? That would be fantastic. No. What? Why not? We're friends, right? Tyler is a friend, but you're just an acquaintance from school. Why do you act so aloof? Do you still have grudges against the past? Forget about the little things. I'll apologize if you say you'll hire me. Okay, you should apologize first. Come with me, William. This isn't going away. Ed. All right. Jake, farewell. I doubt we will cross paths again. Be careful. Wait a minute. Hey, Tyler, and I walked away from Jake, who was holding on tight. Naturally, I paid the bill. I doubted Jake ever planned to pay the amount he was due to. He most likely would have tried to get Tyler and myself to pay if the mixer had gone as planned. He must be a tremendous pain in the office. Certainly, one cannot trust a man who lies like that all the time at work. Maybe I should ask you for a job. Tyler, you're always welcome. I'll spare you from all the difficult steps. Jake would cry later. I discovered that Jake's subpar work was the reason he was viewed as a liability by his employer. It would be simpler to handle Jake if he took on a less involved job at the company, but he consistently oversteps his bounds and receives reprimands because he believes he is capable. He boasts to ladies about his alleged workability and stature at mixers, where he lets out his frustrations despite being the source of his own problems. He even bemoans the fact that someone as competent as he is treated unfairly by his employer. I work in human resources, and Jake is the epitome of the kind of person you should never hire. After our meeting, Jake carried on as usual. I turned him down for a job and a loan, but he continued to live a life of despair. He boasted the same way at mixers every time he came back to our hometown, which eventually made everyone sick of him. The fact that Tyler told us the truth about Jake simply made him more apart from our community, and he no longer often goes home. However, I was able to convince Tyler to work for my organization. Since Tyler never tells lies, I felt secure in our relationship of mutual trust. We need individuals like this for executive positions, people who can be completely trusted. So soon after he joined, I gave him an executive position. Tyler felt the part was too fantastic for him at first, but I reassured him of my confidence and helped him embrace it. Having Tyler as a close assistant makes things much easier for me as I launch a new business. Being able to lead new projects is thrilling. I'm appreciative of my early realization of my talent for management and my ability to make snap decisions. I'm appreciative of the people in my immediate vicinity's support, but I'm also proud of my effort. I'm excited to take my business to new heights.
All right, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my second year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, "I'm thirsty." Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children. With zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job. Having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I obediently followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize. Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. What kind of training are you giving your subordinates? Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed. I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry. Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong. Mike! What have you done? Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. I didn't do anything wrong. You're still saying that? Look at him. Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract? Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go. Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him. There's no way he was pushed aside. Don't make things worse here. He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he? I don't remember that part. I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.